Welcome back into Cherry Picking Week 12 must add. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everyone out there. Glad to get this video out to you guys even during the holidays. Just have 6 players to add this week. A little bit of an interesting week this week considering there's just 3. Most teams are just playing 3 games. With the holiday break off the 25th and 26th, there's no NHL games. You have 1 team playing 1 game actually this week, that being the Vancouver Canucks, and then 3 or 4 teams playing 2 games with the Coyotes, the Flames, the Kraken, and the Golden Knights. So everyone else pretty much on a 3-game schedule. So we'll be targeting guys to pick up in those teams. And then there's also 1 player that we're going to be looking at to pick up that is only playing 2 games next week, but I think it's more of a longevity ad. And as always, video presented by FanDuel Canada. The link to download the app is in the description below. North America's #1 sports book. Tons of hockey to be betting on throughout the holiday break, so be sure to check that out. And let's get into the video. All right, so the first guy we're going to be picking up is Blake Coleman on the Calgary Flames. 45% rostered, has a little bit of position duality there with the center and right wing capabilities in Yahoo Hockey Fantasy Leagues. I know he only plays 2 games this week, but like I mentioned, this is the longevity ad because I think this line of Backlund, Huberdeau, and Coleman is going to be a line that's going to be sticking together for the rest of the year, and they're starting to play really well together as well. They've played the most minutes together out of any other line combination on the Flames this season, 200 plus minutes together. Ryan Huska must love this trio as they continue to build the confidence and the chemistry between them. So obviously going to continue to see these guys playing, and it's starting to work as well. Blake Coleman being a huge beneficiary of playing with these 2 guys. Played with Backlund last year, but I think the Huberdeau touch is actually really good for this line as well. I think all 3 of these players complement each other pretty well too. He's a little bit more of a gritty player, played on that Tampa Bay Lightning team that won a Stanley Cup, has that pedigree 100% there, but, has a little bit of help in bangers leagues as well in terms of the hits department. 35 hits this year, not like huge number, but it is a pretty good job of getting some pucks on the net as well with 83 shots on goal this year. Along with over the last couple games, he's been playing really well. 4 goals and 5 assists over his last 8 games played. So obviously playing really well. This Calgary Flames team, I think, is going to start to play a lot better. This will be one of the focal points for their offensive units. I think this line right here, and Blake Coleman will be a guy that will continue to get points and continue to get pucks on net and will continue to be relevant in fantasy hockey. All right, so the second guy we're going to be adding is Anders Lee on the New York Islanders. Left wing position, 31% rostered right now. I've talked about this guy in buy low, sell high, but still the fact that he's this lowly rostered, I think he just deserves to go on one of these videos as well. I think we're starting to see him play a lot better, a lot more offensively, and he's playing on that top line, second power play unit, so I think he's definitely going to be useful for you guys in terms of fantasy hockey as well. The Isles play 3 games next week, which is one of the bigger things. They play Pittsburgh twice and then Washington. He has 8 goals and 9 points in his last 5 games against Pittsburgh as well. So obviously, this is a great streamer option if you're looking for a left winger this week, considering how well he's played against Pittsburgh recently. Considering over the last week or so as well, he's 4th in expected goals for, only behind Tavares, Nichushkin, and Trevor Moore. So creating a ton of offense on that top line with Bo Horvat and Matt Barzal, I think that's really important to see. He's starting to play a little bit more. I know you're seeing 15 minutes per game. It obviously isn't a ton of time on the ice, but last 2 games he's played at least 17 minutes, which is definitely a little bit more than we've seen at the beginning of the season. His shooting percentage has hovered around 13 to 15% his whole career. Right now we're seeing it about 11% this year. So not unrealistic to say that we can see this number jump a little bit as well. Put that on top of a guy who's starting to play in a lot of more offensive positions for this Lane Lambert-led New York Islanders team. So I think Anders Lee is a great ad, especially this week. All right, so the first defenseman we're going to be picking up this week is Jeremy Lauzon on the Nashville Predators. 22% rostered. This guy is extremely valuable in bangers leagues. He actually leads the NHL in hits amongst defensemen this year with 115. Last 2 weeks as well. Led all defensemen with 38 hits, and the next closest to him was 23. So this guy does a really good job contributing in all factors. Not even just the goals and points department, but it's going to be in the hits and block shots. He has 46 block shots on the year as well. Only 37 shots on goal, but he has been scoring at a pretty decent rate so far this season, which is great to see. His last 2 games, we've seen him play 20 plus minutes. I know you're seeing there as well, kind of something similar to what I said about Anders Lee, averaging about 17 minutes per game on the ice, but now is playing about 20 plus minutes. But over his last 5 games played, he has 2 goals, has 3 goals on the season, which actually matched his goal total from last year. So that's obviously really great to see. Shooting a little bit more as well. I know 37 shots on goal obviously isn't a ton, but definitely starting to become trusted a little bit more by Andrew Brunette, not even just defensive scenarios, but also in offensive situations as well now, which is obviously great considering the back end on this Nashville Predators team as well. Coming over from that Boston Bruins kind of led system, obviously a good one to probably start with. Now playing on a Nashville team where he's relied upon a lot more than he was in Boston as well. So I think that Jeremy Lauzon is a great add for this week and probably for the rest of the season, especially in bangers leagues, considering how many hits and blocks he gets on a night per night basis. He had 9 hits the other game against Vancouver. So, that will help you pretty much just solely in that department, especially in categories leagues as well. Jeremy Lauzon is going to be very valuable.
NHL same game parlays are back on FanDuel this season. Offered in every single game, every single night. Unlike most books, you can include goals, points, and shots on goal. But the newest feature is the gift. Goal in the first 10 minutes. Looking at teams to target for the gift, here's the top 5 teams in goals per game last season. Here's a breakdown of goals in the first period from the 2021-22 season, as only 17% of games that season didn't have a goal in the first period. What will your NHL SGPs look like at FanDuel this season?
All right, so looking at guys who are less than 10% roster to add this week, I have 3 guys. The first one being, and probably my favorite add of the week, and a guy that I think will continue to be relevant in fantasy hockey, and that's Yegor Chinakhov on the Columbus Blue Jackets. 8% rostered right now, 9 goals and 6 assists in 23 games played so far this season, but all of his points have been coming more recently as well. 5 goals and 9 points over his last 6 games played. So over a point per game right now. This is a line that he's playing alongside Kirill Marchenko as well. That's obviously really relied heavily upon Marchenko, one of their top goal scorers, and now Chinakhov seeing like he's fitting into that role as well. With so many guys hurt right now on the Blue Jackets, he is even more relevant than he was before. And I think even when those guys come back, I think Pascal Vincent won't even hesitate to continue to play this guy even more. So if you're looking over that same time frame of the last 6 games played, Chinakhov leads the team in shots on goal with 17. He's 3rd on the team in expected goals for and scoring chances created per game. And over his last 6 games, 4 of those he's played at least 19 minutes, which is a really big jump up from his average on the season, which is about 15 right there. Columbus plays New Jersey, Toronto, and Buffalo this week. Toronto and Buffalo, 2 bottom 10 defensive teams in the NHL this season. Columbus had just played these teams as well. He had a goal and assist in their win over Toronto and 2 assists in their win over Buffalo as well. And he just scored recently against Washington too. So this guy is on a hot streak right now. So this is definitely the best time to pick him up. All right, so another defenseman we're going to be adding this week is actually Thomas Harley on the Dallas Stars. 8% rostered, starting really coming to his own this season. Was a first round pick a couple years ago. He has 9 goals this season, which is very surprising. I don't think a lot of people even know that Thomas Harley has 9 goals. We're starting to see the Dallas Stars activate their defensemen a lot more. We're seeing Miro Heiskanen, Esa Lindell start to get a lot more points and be a lot more involved in the offense. Each pair has one of these offensive defensemen that they really like to deploy. Thomas Harley being that on the 3rd pair right now, but he's still playing about 19 minutes per game, which is obviously awesome. 6 out of his last 7 games as well, he's played 20 plus minutes, and the 9 goals that he has is tied for the league amongst defensemen with Rasmus Dahlin. He's starting, as I mentioned, to be way more involved in the offensive side of things, and it's shown with 9 goals this season and 6 assists. Not really like huge, obviously, in the Bangers League department in short of hits, but he does block a decent amount of shots, 50 plus block shots already on the season right now, alongside 43 shots on goal. Next week, this is the biggest reason why I think Thomas Harley is a great streamer for the upcoming week, because next week he plays the Blackhawks twice and the Blues, 2 horrible defensive teams, 2 teams that give up a lot of opportunities and scoring opportunities to defensemen as well. Explicitly defensemen too. So that's obviously a really good thing when you're looking to target defensemen against this team. That's why I think Thomas Harley would be such a valuable add this week as a streamer. Only 8% rostered, should be available in all your leagues. And if you're in desperate need of a defenseman, I think he's the go-to guy if you need goals and points. All right, so the last guy we're adding, 3% rostered, and I think this will drastically change over the next 2 weeks or so. Zach Benson on the Buffalo Sabres, 3% rostered right now, but this kid is really starting to play well. Really starting to pretty much drive offense on this team as well. Don Granato just kind of switched up the lines a little bit. He was playing on that top line with Tage Thompson. Now with Jeff Skinner back in the lineup and Jordan Greenway, he is on a different line with Casey Middlestat and Jordan Greenway. Didn't really seem to change things a whole lot considering their absolute destruction over the Toronto Maple Leafs, where he did record 2 assists. And you're looking over his last 6 games played as well. He's notched a couple goals, over a point per game over that stretch as well. So if you're looking over the last 6 games played in terms of analytics amongst the team, too, leads the team in expected goals for and is 2nd in high danger chances created, right alongside Alex Tuck. So obviously some really good company to be there as well. If you look at the whole league as well, since December 11th, he's 11th or top 10, in expected goals for. He is still on the first power play, which is great to see, playing on with a ton of very skilled players, and a power play I think will continue to improve this season as well. Buffalo does play Boston this week, so obviously not the greatest matchup, but they do play Columbus and Ottawa, who are two of the worst defensive teams in the NHL this season as well, especially Columbus. They give up about 35 plus shots per game, scoring chances as well in that same department. So I think this is a really good week to exploit Zach Benson. I think he could be a great streamer if you're in need of a left wing, and then maybe a guy that will just continue to stay on your team as the season goes along, because I think Don Granato and the Sabres team is really starting to trust their young guys, and one of those guys being Zach Benson. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you thought of Week 12 must-add of the fantasy hockey season. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Download that FanDuel Canada app that is in the description below. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, and I'll see you guys in the next video.